All right, for more on the Phillies, we welcome to the new Philly from PhillyInfluencer.com. Sean Brace. Good morning, Sean.
Good morning, guys. How we doing?
We're still trying to figure out who that team was last night at Citizens Bank Park that put up 15 runs.
Impressive.
Yeah.
You know, it was a fun game. It was a great game actually to watch. Even though they did blow the 6-0 lead, still, I tuned in a little late. I'm like, wait, they got 6 on Madison Bumgarner?
Yeah.
Franco with that big 3-run bomb. Like I said, they did blow it, but eventually coming back, and impressive, especially from the top 3, like you said.
Kind of had the feel for the old days when they.
There was a little bit of that fight there, yeah.
And back in the day, Adam Eaton would put you in a 5-run hole, and then the offense would battle back. Yeah, you long for those days, that's for sure.
Exactly right about that.
Yeah.
So when you look at this team, where does this come from? When they can't hit to save their lives at Citizens Bank Park, especially, and then all of a sudden they wake up against a really elite guy in Madison Bumgarner for 13 runs, basically like they came from the dead. Can you explain it?
Yeah, well, it was a Grateful Dead night, a matter of fact.
There
it was. I got to go ahead with the power of Jerry Garcia, that's for sure. No, I guess, you nailed it. With Madison Bumgarner, you're going into that, and I know he was struggling a little bit, and they already had their way with him one time this year.
Yeah,
but,
which is crazy.
You want to step up. You want to elevate your game. That's Madison Bumgarner. I mean, 5 beers to the face, World Series MVP. So I think that has something to do with it. That and old Charlie Manuel style. It's hitting with it.
Yeah, it was.
A little warm down there at the ballpark.
And I'll tell you, you hope that Altier's done a nice job since coming back.
Yes.
And you're going to get a little audition from him the next couple months, see what he's got. And maybe he's one of the answers in the corner outfield. Maybe throw Nick Williams up there at some point. So that's good. All right. Now, the other thing is, too, Franco's been really frustrating for me all season. And, last night obviously is a big game and it pays off. But you saw, he comes out of his shoes every time he swings.
Yeah.
This has got to be figured out at some point. Because, it's great when he hits a home run, but then when he goes into one of these over 14 slumps and he strikes out 8 times, you're saying to yourself, is this guy going to figure this out at some point?
Yeah, and what was it the other night that I think he was 0 for 4 on 4 pitches?
Yes.
Rob, that's incredible. I don't even know how you could do that. And when I read it, I didn't think it was true, but he's got a little Vlad Guerrero in there, just swinging out of his shoes and not wanting to take any pitches. Obviously, that's evident with the 0 for 4 performance on 4 pitches. It's incredible. But, Franco has the ability. He's got the pop. He just needs to be a little bit more patient at the plate. What about this? The fact that he's batting third. Do you think he's a third 3-hole hitter?
On this team.
Yeah, well, on this team, he's anywhere. You throw him anywhere. But, you're right. Eventually, in his defense, he hasn't had a lot of support around him. I understand that, which I think it lends itself to sometimes he tries to do too much, but he's got to get over that.
Right.
They're not going to be a great hitting team even next year, I don't think. So you got to get used to that at some point. What is he ultimately? Anywhere from 3 to 5, I think. He's somewhere in that neighborhood.
I think we all are in agreement that he is definitely one of the bright stars on this team. He's got the power. It's just, like you said.
Got to figure it out, though. Got to stop feeling too much pressure like he's the guy. He might be the guy. We've basically been talking about him like he's the guy all season.
Well, he's not alone. There have been, like Herrera's fallen into some bad habits. And, he got sat down last night.
Yep.
So he's got to kind of figure it out. But this is part of being young. And you look at it, both guys essentially in their second year.
No, you're right.
So this kind of stuff is going to happen from time to time.
Sure.
As they get to their mid-20s, late 20s, you hope it's figured out by that point.
Yeah. What about Zach Eflin? Sort of a mixed performance from him yesterday.
Yeah, it was. And I hate to bring up Eaton's name with that, but it was very Eaton-esque, that's for sure. And when you get a 6-0 lead, you would like to say, all right, you're going to go long in this game, but he did struggle at times last night. And the Giants, look, they came out and they realized that they had to put it up after being down 6-0, so you got to give them a little credit there. But bottom line is he's got to step up and perform a little bit better than what he did when you get all those runs.
Keep in mind, this is a motivated Giants team that's playing for something. The Phillies aren't.
Yeah.
And I think a couple times he felt like he got squeezed, right or wrong, whatever. I thought he did too.
Well, right before everything sort of went out for him, went off for him, that's exactly what happened.
Yeah.
Right?
And sometimes it's easy to sit here and say it in my seat.
Yeah.
You got to fight through that and kind of get past it. When you're a younger guy, again, they're young. They're a young team. Sometimes this stuff affects you. And then you make a mistake, and we see what happens when you make a mistake in major leaguers.
To be honest with you, to me, it sort of felt like he was just barely holding it together the whole time.
Yeah, he wasn't great. He really
wasn't great. The pitch count got too high too fast. He got a little sloppy there in the third and
They
fourth.
were sloppy in general. In the first, they didn't give up any runs, and they were very sloppy. A couple times it could have been a double play. So that brought up his pitch count also.
He wasn't the only one that felt like he was getting squeezed, too, last night.
Well, one of the fans got squeezed right out of the ballpark. This was interesting. You don't see this a whole lot when an umpire sort of intervenes here and kicks a fan out. But, you know, if what was saying, if what Bob Davidson was saying is true, that this guy was saying, I'm glad he got tossed.
Yeah, it's funny because I didn't notice this until this morning when I saw the replay here in the Breakfast Brown Green Room. If you look, you can see the crowd reaction behind the dugout where that guy is located. They're clapping.
Yep.
They're happy that that fan got tossed out.
Yeah.
So he was definitely saying something out of line. Look, I like a good heckle.
Yeah.
But you got to know when to say when.
Good
Yeah,
heckle.
a good heckle.
That's the point, though, right?
Yeah.
From what I gather, what was being said was pretty darn offensive.
Overkill.
There's a
Overkill.
fine line between a boo and a just funny way of being on a guy.
Yeah.
And then crossing a line.
Yep.
And
Yeah.
it sounds like you're right. You're right about that. You could see it immediately when Davidson starts to walk over. The one guy kind of spins and like is
Yeah.
pointing up at him. Like, watch the reaction to the guy in the pink.
Yeah, you see it.
He's
He's like-
kind of reacting, and then there's other guys around him. You're right, Sean. They're like, all right,
they're
get him
clapping.
out of
Yeah,
there.
get him out.
This
Yep.
lady right there. So yeah, I think there was a lot going on there probably. And you know how it is. I mentioned this earlier. When you have kids with you, you're like, come on, dude.
Yep.
Like,
You got to
just-
give it
just
up.
Get it together.
Can't
So-
do that
I mean,
anymore.
like, there's a good heckle. There's nothing wrong with a good heckle. Just be a little creative.
I'm with you, but what I don't want is the umpire to take it on his own if some guy's just being loud and boisterous. Like, that's none of the umpire's concern.
That should
You're
be
right,
the stadium staff's
yeah,
concern.
exactly.
And that's what Bob Davidson did say. He's like, how was that fan still allowed to stay in there? Security's
Right.
got to do their job. I thought
Yeah.
that was a little, a thin ice. But the one thing I will say is I'm waiting for the headlines now, or the articles to be written. Oh, Philly fan gets tossed out of game. You know it's coming.
Never
you
mind the
know
fact
it's
that
coming.
more Phillies fans were happy that the guy got tossed.
True.
You know.
Very true.
Yeah, of
Very
course.
true.
Yeah, only a matter of time before
Only
that
a matter.
comes, that's for
Give
sure.
it a couple hours.
Yes. All right, it is 6:50. Still ahead. We're going to go over to the NovaCare complex and check in with Barrett. He ran. He didn't even drive over there. I don't know. I made that up. All right. So he's going to run through each of the position players and lay out the possible starters for Week 1. You're watching Breakfast on Broad. Sean's going to hang around. Presented by Virtua. Welcome back to Breakfast on Broad. Time for a look back at this day in history. How about this? August 3rd, 1949, the NBA was formed through a merger of the Basketball Association of America and the National Basketball League. So, 1949, that's the NBA.
Basically yesterday.
Yes.
Now for some birthdays today. Ryan Lochte is 32.
Okay.
Oh, hey, Tom Brady, 39.
Wow.
Happy birthday, Tom Brady.
Oh, he'll get 4 days rest, 4 games rest.
Yeah, four games rest for your birthday.
His old age.
Martha Stewart is 75.
Not bad.
Yeah, looking good for 75. Martin Sheen, 76. And Tony Bennett, 90.
Still getting it done, Tony.
Yeah,
All right,
impressive.
college football season just around the corner, and the Crimson Tide are coming off another national championship last year. And according to a new list from the Associated Press, they're among the best football programs of all time. Duh! All right, here's how the list breaks down. We have a lot of the usual suspects: Ohio State, Oklahoma, Notre Dame, Alabama, USC. No surprise, really, any of those top 5 there. Go a little bit lower there. You have Penn State at 12, Rutgers at
Rutgers
86,
at 86.
and Villanova at 95.
Huh.
This is football we're talking about, not hoops.
Yeah, that's impressive.
So obviously Nova had a big-time football program years ago, then shut it down, then came back at the Division I AA level. So
Can I tell you guys an unrelated but kind of funny college football story?
Sure.
So there's a controversy going on right now on Twitter with college football because the Olympics are coming up. Everything starts Friday, right? And all the countries get a little Twitter image when you type like their 3-letter code. And UGA, Twitter gave to Uganda, but that's also the Bulldogs.
Georgia.
Georgia fans, not happy. If you go on
Oh, I
Twitter
can
and look,
imagine.
they've basically taken over the hashtag and they're all screaming and yelling at Twitter.
Yeah, that's
furious
religion
that
now.
Uganda
Yeah, that's
has
serious.
capitalized on their hashtag.
But back to that list. How is Notre Dame above
I don't
Alabama?
know. It's-
How is that possible?
Yeah, can we look at this again?
I don't know at this point. I mean, it's got to be.
Yeah, that I don't.
You have to be drawing far back.
Yes.
You know, you have to
Way
be going back
back.
a long
Yeah.
time ago if that's the case. I was actually surprised. I thought Bama may be number 1, to tell you the truth.
Yeah, I don't know.
And not to say, well, certainly Ohio State and Oklahoma
Sure.
have had great histories too. But yeah, I'm with you. I don't know how far back we're going with this. If this is the last 20 years, it's not even close.
And Michigan, come on.
Yeah,
Michigan nowhere to
up
be
there
found
as
on that
well.
too.
Yeah, that's actually surprising as well. I didn't even think about that.
Well, at least on the top 5.
The top 5, right?
Yeah, no question about it. All right, it's 6:55 coming up in our next hour. We're going to play a little game we call This or That, comparing a few players from both the Eagles past and present. And Barrett will be joining us live from the NovaCare Complex, along with CSN's Derek Gunn and Mike Sealski from the Philadelphia Inquirer. You're watching Breakfast on Broad, presented by Virtua. To Breakfast on Broad, here's a look at what's cooking in Philadelphia sports. The Phillies continue their series with the Giants later today at Citizens Bank Park. Aaron Nola Can he get it turned around?
Oh, we hope.
Yes, he will get the start. Action kicks off at 6 o'clock, or actually 6:30 with Phillies pregame live, and then first pitch is at 7 o'clock.
Guys, some huge news
here
for
we go.
you. Yes, here we go. It's one of the hottest debated questions across the country. You know, of course, what I'm asking, right?
Mm-hmm.
Is a hot dog a sandwich? We've certainly spent way too much time on this show talking about it, and that's mostly my fault. But apparently, the good people at the National Hot Dog and Sausage Council, which, yes,
Who
is a
knew?
real thing.
Yes.
Yeah, they commissioned a recent poll and found that 50% of Americans don't know what they're talking about. I'm sorry. I mean, they say that that a hot dog is not a sandwich, and only 33% said yes, 10% they're undecided. How do people not understand the logic here? If something is on a roll or between two pieces of bread, it is a sandwich. I'm going out of my mind here, guys.
I'm going to go with the majority on this one, Sarah. Go figure, we're going to butt heads over this.
We're going to butt heads on
yes,
something, Sean?
but
I know
I've always thought about this question. I said, no, a hot dog's a hot dog. It's not a
See,
sandwich.
I'm with you. I'm a sandwich.
It can be both. A hot dog can be
It's
both.
in a steak and roll. It's in a bun.
Right,
It's a sandwich.
And when it's not, don't you call it like a wiener or weenie or whatever? If it's not in the bun,
But
yes,
then you put it in the
and
bun.
then it's a hot dog, which is a sandwich.
I just can't
Problem solved.
convert over
So
that.
wait, that's when it converts into a hot dog when
think.
it's in a bun?
I don't know.
Oh,
What-
okay.
Maybe?
Love it.
All right. I didn't hear that part of the logic,
Well,
but
I've spent
now
a lot of time thinking about this.
obviously,
Yes.
it's very clearly.
Because
break
I
it down.
have nothing better to do with my time.
All right.
Let me know what you think, because this is fun to talk about
Yes,
on
you
Twitter.
can hit us up on Bob at Bob on TCN.
Yeah,
and
at
certainly
Bob on
Facebook.
TCN,
Sarah's
please.
all over.
I am.
All right, and by the way, I before the show, I had a setting update on my phone.
Yeah, still going,
So I
huh?
set it like 5 o'clock.
Still going.
Still going is not a good sign.
Yeah.
I'm a little concerned.
The pinwheel of death right there, right?
Yeah,
So
that's
when,
that's not good.
When you text Rob Ellis and he writes back, new phone, who dis? He's
Yes.
not kidding.
I am
He's
not.
being
That's
serious.
usually the move when you're like, hey, I lost all my
The
contacts.
most uncomfortable text ever
It's
that
the
you
worst.
have to send that. You're like,
You're
I'm
And as soon as you
sorry.
hit send, you're like, you take that swallow.
Yeah.
You're like, dude.
And then it's
But
like,
it's true.
it's your
on
mother.
the record now. It's true. Sorry,
Legit.
Mom.
Yes, sorry, parents. All right, it is 7 o'clock. You are watching Breakfast on Broad, presented by Virtua. The Phillies do something they haven't done all season as the bats come alive and they slay the Giants and their ace. The Birds are back at it today. We'll delve into the position battles as we inch toward that first preseason game. All right, who's ready to be thrown into the 7 o'clock hour?
Oh, I am.
Are you guys ready?
Definitely.
All right. So we're that is thrown. All right. We are splashing your way right now.
Terrible form.
Good Wednesday morning, everybody. This is Breakfast on Broad, presented by Virtua. I am Rob Ellis, along with Sarah Baker. We also have Sean Brace hanging out with us. Jillian has the morning off, and Barrett is over at the NovaCare complex. We're going to check in with him in a couple of minutes, guys. So,
Yes.
looking forward to the Eagles getting back to practice today. I just wish, I feel like I'm always saying this with fast forwarding with the Eagles. I wish Thursday was the first preseason game.
Me
I
too.
wish we'd have to wait a full week.
Yeah.
I know.
Well, this weekend is what, the Hall of Fame game,
Yeah, so you
correct?
finally get a little bit of action on the field.
But here's the best thing, guys. No more. After this weekend, we have football every single Sunday from here on out.
Here until February.
It's a beautiful thing.
That is a beautiful
I like
as a
it.
matter of
Yes.
fact.
Okay, so we need to get back to that video you just showed us, Rob.
Yeah, what
because-
was that?
Yeah, it's Steelers linebacker James Harrison
Oh, boy.
throwing his kids into a pool with no mercy. I mean, look at this. They get some serious air.
Look how high that kid is. Are you kidding me?
That is going to hurt when he hits that water. I'm telling
Holy
you.
smokes.
And I love the slow-mo, too. Oh, my God. Whoosh.
You know, it's funny. We all played that game as a kid with our dad.
But our
And I
dads
don't-
weren't that
Yeah,
strong.
I don't think Big Gare tossed me up that high.
Yeah,
That's for sure.
that was like coming off a high dive, how high that
It
kid was.
was.
Jeez.
Woo.
right, one more time.
Yeah, we got to go. All
Here,
right.
think this guy's strong?
No. I mean, how much do you think that kid weighs, would you say?
About 65 pounds
So, like,
soaking
nothing.
wet.
Yeah.
Nothing.
Yeah.
To him, that's for
No.
sure.
The
Flat
air
like-
up there.
Yes. So let's get a little scrapple as he hits the water one more time. Presented by Haverset. Yes, getting you caught up on everything you need to know and you should know before you head out the door this morning. We begin on the diamond where the Phillies broke out the bats last night and scored a season high. This is unbelievable. 13 runs in their series opener against the NL West leading San Francisco Giants. They tagged ace Madison Bumgarner for 8 runs. Aaron Altier was huge, 3 for 5, 5 RBIs, a home run. Michael Franco drove in for himself, and the Phillies win this one 13-8. Tonight's matchup will pit 13-game winner Johnny Cueto against Aaron Nola, who's looking to get back on track this season. All right, maybe some buyer's remorse here for some of these teams around the league after the debuts of some of these sluggers. Major League Baseball trade deadline saw a lot of guys changing addresses, but it was not pretty. Carlos Beltran, Jonathan Lucroy, Jay Bruce, Matt Kemp, all making their first appearances for teams after being traded when a combined 0 for 14 last night.
Fire some general managers.
Come on.
All right, certainly not the first impression those guys are looking for, but they got a little bit more time. All right, so the Eagles get back to work, as we mentioned, at training camp after having the day off yesterday. Today marks the 1-week mark since the entire team reported for Coach Doug Peterson in his first training camp. In charge, the rookie head coach has a handful of decisions to make regarding the team's depth chart. Those engaged in various position battles get back to work today to try to impress the coaching staff. All right, Delran, New Jersey's Carly Lloyd, yes, they're looking to take home gold, the women's national soccer team. They march toward history this evening as they kick off their Olympic schedule against New Zealand. The United States can be the first women's team ever to win a World Cup and Olympic gold in consecutive years. It would also be the 4th gold medal for the U.S. team. They managed to come out on top. That's 4th consecutive. That's pretty impressive, man. Don't look now, but college football right around the corner. I know Sean's excited about this.
Oh, yeah.
The AAC Temples Conference released their preseason poll yesterday, and the Owls, who lost the conference championship game last year, were picked to finish 3rd behind South Florida and defending champion Houston. And they lost some key guys, that's for sure, but Matt Rule's squad comes back strong again. Quarterback P.J. Walker, running back Jahad Thomas, among others, will be back on North Broad this season. All right, so a rare offensive explosion, as we mentioned, for the Phillies last night at Citizens Bank Park. 13 runs is the most they've scored all season. Now, looking ahead to tonight, we just mentioned this. Aaron Nola is back on the mound. We talked about some of his struggles that he's been through. Really, we go even more than several starts. This goes back a long way. He's going to face Johnny Cueto. Sean, he had that one, blip in the road where he looked good, actually, coming back from the All-Star break, but then he went to Pittsburgh, looked bad in his last one. If he has another struggle, do you think he gets sent down?
Ooh, no, I don't think he gets sent down.
don't?
He's all right?
No, yeah, I think there's something to the 6-man rotation that they were talking about yesterday. Matt Klentak, the general manager for the Phillies, said that, and that has to do with obviously the Jake Thompson, who's down at AAA. He'll come up, but they don't want to use Vinny Velasquez as far as innings
got
are
innings
concerned.
left.
Yeah, so I'm okay with the 6-man rotation. Plus Aaron Nola. I mean, hey, put him in there. It's not. I mean, I understand if you send him down, he might have better success or a better chance for success. I get that, but there's no better place to learn than right here at the professional
Yes
level.
and no, though, because they've been giving him opportunities
That's
again
true.
and again and again, and it's only just gotten worse.
Yeah.
You look at his last 15 games. What is he? 5-7 through his last 15 with an ERA over 5. He's 1-4 in his last 7. The ERA is over 9 now.
Struggling.
During that
Yeah, you
stretch.
worry
City.
you
It's
worried about
getting
his head.
worse.
You're worried about his
You
head.
worry about his head, and the more you keep parading him out there, the worse it goes. He's not showing any signs of trial by fire, figuring it out.
Yeah.
I think you might be at a point where you need to send him down.
Could happen. It could happen, but I just think that if you keep him up here, you got to force it to him. You got to figure it out. And if he doesn't, then obviously next year's a different story.
Right, that's true.
And how many starts are we talking about from here into the end of the season? So I think it's a good point for him to go ahead and see what he's got. He was drafted for this reason, to get up here in the major leagues and give him some innings. So. I mean, I understand what you're saying. I'm not going to argue with you.
I don't know what the answer is.
Yeah,
you know
no,
what I
you're
mean?
right.
Like, you could very well be right. It's just puzzling to me to this point that a guy who really has been so steely emotionally, and we talked about that all season long, suddenly lost it and can't get it back. And I don't know what the answer is. It just seems to me that what they've been doing right now isn't working.
It's hard to fathom what's happened there. And certainly one guy who's knocking on the door is Jake Thompson. He's been dominant for AAA Lehigh Valley Iron Pigs. And, you look at what could end up happening with him. As good as he's been, you figure at some point he could be called up. Here's Phillies general manager, just referenced him, Matt Klentak, talking about the 6-man rotation. And we'll get to that in a little bit. We may have that at some point.
So you mentioned it yesterday, I think verbatim, Rob. You basically said there's not much more that Jake Thompson can do at this point to prove that he deserves to be up here with the Phillies. And so I went back and I looked at how he's done over his last 10, 15, 20, his starts, everything. I think he has 21 games he's played in this season. So I looked at that 7-inning number, that magical 7-inning numbers. How many times is he making it through 7? He's made it to 7 or beyond in 7 of his last 10 starts, right? Even in the 3 that he didn't make it that far, he got 1 no decision and 2 wins. The guy is doing very well.
11
here.
starts, he's got a 1.21 ERA.
Yeah, you can't ask for much more.
I don't know
than
what
that.
else he can do at this point. So here we go. Let's hear from Matt Klentak regarding the 6-man rotation.
Well, we're open-minded to anything. I mean, the health of our pitchers and making sure we do the right thing developmentally for our young pitchers is definitely important. And if at some point we felt a 6-man rotation made sense, we would consider it. If we felt like skipping a player, skipping a start for a certain pitcher made sense, as we've done, we'd consider that. And similarly, if we feel that shutting a pitcher down before the end of the regular season makes sense, we'll consider that too. So we're open to any of those ideas.
Yeah, I mean, the other thing to keep in mind with Thompson, 18 walks and 74 in a third inning. So, I mean, this guy is not giving out any free passes. Look, I'm sure Matt Klentak realizes where this is. And you got to get this kid up here at some point in time. It's a unique situation because, quite frankly, I thought they probably thought they were going to be able to move Hellickson.
Yeah.
It didn't happen.
No, you're right.
And Thompson would have been easy, just slide him right in. They actually matched up their days and everything. So I think that's what's kind of throwing a little bit of a monkey wrench in it for right now. But you're going to see Thompson.
So if you had to make a guess, what do you think? When do you think? And how do you think? Is it Nola goes down and he comes up?
I want to see tonight. I want to see what happens tonight. I mean, if he gets torched tonight, then you may see something. I mean, that's my best guess.
Hellickson thought he was going to be traded as well. Did you catch those sound bites yesterday? That was pretty funny.
I mean, leading up, he said all the right. I want to be here.
Yeah.
He had to say that.
He was like, I was surprised that I'm still here.
Yeah, he wanted to be with the
We all were.
And I can't fault him.
No,
that's
not
for
at
sure.
all.
I mean, you get it. And I think he ends up here with the thought that he was going to be flipped, in all actuality, but it didn't quite work itself out.
Oh, not yet.
Well, we'll see what happens tonight. All right, so let's switch over to the Eagles now because the team gets back on the field at the NovaCare Complex today. And after that first week, we've already seen a few surprise standouts that could be in competition for a starting role here. All right, let's jump into a couple of these, Sean. One of them is Jalen Mills, who the coaches have not been afraid to sing his praises the whole time. I mean, whether that was OTAs or whether it's now in camp, they just like a lot of things about this guy. And let's think about it. If there is any position that's pretty open, at least for one spot, it's corner.
Yeah, it is funny. Anytime you hear them talking about the defensive backs, Mills' name is one of the first that comes up. So the cornerback is an issue. That's where they got to fill some holes. We'll see what happens with Nolan Carroll and Eric Rowe. But Jalen Mills is definitely, like I said, the coaches are just ranting and raving about him. So I'm really interested to see what that is all about. Because again, I heard you reference this early. Preseason. Let's just slow down a little bit. They've only had the pads on for 4 or 5 days right now. I want to see what happens when you got to get up there and make a tackle, press a receiver. I mean, think about the solid wide receiver play in this division here. So those cornerbacks will be tested. So I got to see a little bit more until I want to go crazy.
You know what? Here's the thing. We always reference the great game that Bradford had against Green Bay. Right? That's always like
always our
template.
It wasn't even a great game.
But here's my point.
39-26. I remember it like it was yesterday, Rob.
So we're always talking about that. How about, remember the way Kenyon Barner dominated?
Yes, I was thinking about that as well.
And then all of a sudden we're saying, whoa. And now to his credit, it helped him make the team.
Yeah, but it's not like he became the guy.
He did very little.
Right.
And of course, he's behind Matthews and DeMarco Murray. But my point is you could tear it apart, and then we may never see you again, even if you make the team.
Right. Yeah, that's what happens.
That's a different position than running back. The Eagles last year, it looked like they were stacked with Murray and Matthews.
Sure.
Yeah, it didn't work out great.
Three-headed monster last year, remember
Not
that?
Quite.
Not quite.
I've never been so wrong about something in my life, DeMarco Murray. I still look at that. I remember like yesterday, coming across to Ben Franklin, there was a big old billboard, DeMarco Murray is a Philadelphia Eagle. Welcome to Philadelphia. Yeah. And I was like, that's a superstar right there.
Nope.
Well, let me ask you though.
Didn't work out.
How do you think that was because of Chip last year, or that was a guy who lost a lot after the way Dallas used them the previous season.
No question. I think Chip's offense was a little predictable last year, a little stale. I don't know what it was. Maybe offensive line production wasn't there as a whole. But for me, I'm going to go with that a little bit. But majority, I think the tread on the tires.
Yeah.
I mean, if you look at the preseason, the regular season, and the postseason, the year before DeMarco Murray became an Eagle, I think it was something like 400-plus carries, 450, something along those lines. I mean, and I was like, he's young, he'll be fine. That wasn't the case.
I know.
I think there was something to that.
And to Dallas's credit, I mean, Dallas wanted him back, but they weren't going to go crazy. And they knew how they abused him.
Yeah.
Right?
Exactly.
So the sucker Chip took him. Now, I'm going to be curious to see, used in a different way, with maybe a year where he didn't have a lot of wear and tear, how he looks in Tennessee this year. I think he's better, but he's not going to get back to the guy we saw 2 years ago.
I've said it before a million times. I'll say it again. Guys don't get back to those numbers once they have them once. You can look at it again and again and again. Backs don't repeat those years. It doesn't happen. So I don't think he's going to be that guy he was 2 years ago. But to your point, he basically rested last year.
Yeah.
You know,
He should be very fresh.
He should feel very fresh this season. So I think I would predict a better year, certainly than he had here.
I caught some footage of Tennessee Titans training camp.
What did you see in that?
Marcus Mariota. Oh my goodness! Can we do the deal? Can we please get him?
Oh my God!
I know.
Marcus Mariota.
I know.
He's going to be something special.
What is this
league.
day? We're talking about Adam Eaton and Marcus Mariota.
I know.
Going back.
It's not Throwback Wednesday.
It's not Throwback Wednesday.
September 11th needs to be here now.
Well, you know what it is? We came up with a little game here. All right, we're going to play.
Okay.
All right, we're going to look back over the last few years and compare some of the Eagles players, both past and present. We call it this or that. All right. So we take two names. You tell us which one that you would choose if you were the general manager of the Eagles. All right. You ready? All right. First up, let's go Chase Daniel or Nick Foles as the Eagles' backup. Let's be clear. Backup quarterback. Who would you prefer?
You can get with this or you can get with that. I am not a Nick Foles guy. 27-2 was impressive. I put that all on Chip Kelly in the competition, obviously, that year. I'm going Chase Daniel. And you hear a lot of good things about him so far.
Yeah,
He
apparently
knows
he's been the most consistent guy so far in Tampa, according to some. All right, Sarah, who would you say?
I think I would go Nick Foles, actually.
Go.
You know, I really do. I see what you're saying, where it was a competition and maybe it was Kelly and all of that, but he's been there. He's played well. What do we know about Chase Daniel?
Chase Daniel, we know, could never crack the starting lineup.
Exactly.
At least Nick Foles has done it as a starter. Fallen on his face as a starter, too, but at least has had success as a starter.
Yeah.
So I would think I would lean towards Foles.
Pro Bowl MVP, cleats and holiday.
Exactly. The Oakland game. All right, so next up, it's Ryan Matthews or our buddy DeMarco Murray as your starting running back. Now, keep in mind the injury history.
Yes.
Knowing Matthews is very effective when he's on the field, but he's off the field too much. Which one would you go with?
And both very successful off the field, that's for sure. I'm going to go with DeMarco Murray on this one. Ryan Matthews, when that signing happened, immediately my mind went to this back is injury prone. And at that position,
time in San Diego.
I want nothing to do with him. Chip rolled the dice on injury prone players. Ryan Matthews is at the top of that list. I'm going DeMarco Murray.
All right, Sarah, where do you go?
I don't know. I was so disappointed in the year that DeMarco Murray had, and his attitude too, that I think I might go Ryan Matthews.
What,
even
crying to the owner on the plane ride home after the biggest victory last year?
That wasn't a coincidence that they found one another on the plane?
No, it wasn't. All right, Rob, what do you say?
I'm going to go DeMarco Murray, too, simply because I can't trust Ryan Matthews to be on the field. It's as simple as that. If you're just asking me, if you could guarantee me that Matthews was going to stay on the field,
take Matthews?
I would take Matthews because I think he has more in the tank right now.
Can you guarantee to me that Murray's not going to slide?
No.
I mean, come on.
I can't. I can't. It's a risk.
Sorry.
I'm not in love with either scenario.
Yes.
Let me put it to that
I know.
way.
It's a good question.
All right, so let's go Matt Tobin, Andrew Gardner on the offensive line.
Oh, look at this. Do I have to?
You have to choose one.
I guess I'll go with Gardner, right? Yeah, give me Andrew Gardner. I mean, I think it's funny. It's just a toss-up question.
I think Gardner was awful until he went down last year. I would go
right.
slight lean towards Gardner. I'm
with
just
you.
not in love with Tobin. It's more of a lack of Tobin.
Can I leave him there?
Where's Barrett at for the offensive
Yeah,
line?
right? I took Barrett.
All right, let's speed through these last couple. We have Josh Huff or Riley Cooper.
That's an easy one. Give me Josh Huff.
Yeah.
me
Josh
too.
Huff,
All right.
easy.
Get out of here, Riley.
Billy Davis or Juan Castillo as your defensive
Oh,
coordinator.
come on. You guys are brutal.
Davis. It's got to be Davis.
Give me Juan Castillo.
And I'll tell you, I'm not even sure that's Billy Davis, but I'll take him over
I
Juan
take Davis
Castillo.
over Castillo any day.
It's not Billy
No,
Davis.
it's not. All right, and finally, who would you bring back, Deshaun Jackson or LaShawn McCoy?
Easily Deshaun Jackson.
You go D-Jack, Sarah.
Yeah, I'm going to DJ.
Nice.
Yeah.
I'm going LaShawn. I'm going LaShawn. I think we missed him more than people thought. I know everybody
Yeah, that's fair
says
too.
the running back, who cares in this league now, blah, 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 blah. I don't buy that. I think if you have a guy who's as dominant as LaShawn would give it to you more consistently over 16 games than Deshaun. You'd see better flashes from Deshaun and home runs and whatnot, but there would be strikeouts or games you wouldn't even see it.
Okay, guys. So
You seen the footage of him burning Josh Norman down there in
Yes.
practice?
we want to let our viewers at home, that's you watching the show, have a little fun with this. So we posted a few polls this morning on Twitter. You can find them all. They are live now. The first one was Chase Daniel and Nick Foles, and yeah, more people saying Chase Daniel.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, not a lot of fondness going on for Nick Foles.
Okay.
Sorry, people at home.
That's Sean Grace voting over and over
Yeah,
again.
that's exactly what it is.
Yeah, it's interesting.
Next up, we did the Ryan Matthews versus DeMarco Murray poll, and
Whoa.
here you go. Lots of people
That's a
on
landslide there.
Team Matthews.
Not a
Wow.
lot of people are happy with DeMarco.
No, I understand that. Finally, Deshaun Jackson and LaShawn McCoy.
This is a good one. What do we got?
Deshaun, 57% siding with you, sir,
Pretty tight.
Sean Brace,
Pretty
LaShawn
tight.
McCoy.
Interesting. Yeah, I mean, look, the one thing, too, that was sort of like the greatest fear, I think, of Eagles fans was things blow up with, after he made all these moves, like just bounced LaShawn, Deshaun, et cetera, and Evan Mathis while we're at it.
Yeah.
Once all of that happened, the last thing you wanted to do would be holding the bag when Chip's out of town.
Oh,
right?
God, yeah.
And you know what happened? That's why I think part of when you look at this year, this 2016 team, we got to understand, like, you're digging out of some rubble here.
Yeah.
This is not, as smooth as, like, I know Chip turned it around quickly after Andy's last year, but I think a lot of that was the message just got stale and old, and the players had kind of checked out a little bit. I think with the Eagles, it's both. They certainly had enough of Chip, but there's personnel issues here too with this team. That's why I think this year's going to be a struggle.
Yeah,
for
I
them.
agree with you.
And new system in Chip's first year, but it's just incredible when you think about Chip Kelly. And I hate to go back again
Yeah.
on this, but
Way
he
back
got rid of
Wednesday.
Deshaun, gets rid of LaShawn, and he's like almost thinking like he doesn't want the scene. But then he brought Tim Tebow into camp.
Yeah.
It just
Yeah,
there
there was a
so
lot
many-
of inconsistencies.
Yeah,
You're
a
right.
lot of
That
inconsistencies.
you're right. That messaging wasn't 100% on target.
You think
Yeah.
he'll be successful in San Francisco?
I don't actually. I don't. I don't like the team he has. Number one.
True.
And number two, I just think here's where he would be successful if he's willing to look back and reflect on the way that he did things here and change things up. But I think he's so stubborn and so ingrained and dug into what he does and believe in. That's good. You need to believe in yourself.
Yeah.
But I don't think he's going
Yeah.
to make the corrections that he needs to make as a
And-
coach to grow. I think he's just going to, hey, we have 4 plays. You better execute.
Yeah.
Like, come on, dude.
Yeah.
Obviously, everybody figured this out, and you were incredibly predictable last
He
year.
didn't give any kind of good answers to the media either when he's asked about the differences between here and there
Yeah.
and what he's learning. Remember, what did he say? He's like, the ocean's on the left and so
Oh,
the right.
yeah,
you know what I mean?
I
Like, it's not,
couldn't-
yeah, I'm with you, Rob. I don't think that he has that perspective that's necessary. I think he's still too stubborn. Really.
But if he can figure the mystery that is Kaepernick out, then he has a chance.
Very
And
true.
That's one of the biggest things for him.
Cap,
Yeah.
quarterback, Super
See?
Bowl.
Would seem to have the skill set that he would like as a quarterback, that's for sure, as a coach. All right, let's send it out to Barrett, who is live at the NovaCare Complex this morning. He is joined by the co-host of CSN's Quick Slants, D. Gunn. What a handsome pair we have right there.
Hey, I'm not Brian Dawkins, but I'll try to give you what I can to make things a little more appropriate here at the NovaCare Center. Consider the fact there's a lot of new starters. There's competition here at the NovaCare Center as opposed to when Chip Kelly was here. So let's start off with the quarterback position.